and welcome to another episode of 10 Questions, where we put one of your favourite gardening YouTube faces under the spotlight and throw questions at them left, right, and centre. And I've got to admit, of all the question and answer sessions we have done so far, we have not yet had the same answer to any one of the questions. So I will be very interested to see if that changes or not tonight with tonight's guest, because we have got the lovely Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello. I'm absolutely well. No, let's not go there. Just been telling Mark you can either have the quick "yeah, I'm fine," or you can have the real answer. But no, we're all right. We're doing
We're all
well.
good.
Right, Mark, I'm just going to go straight in with your question number one,
Okay.
which is who are you, which I've already told everyone, but you can tell us a bit more. And what is your channel?
My name is Mark, and the rather inventively called channel is Mark's Allotment Plot.
Mark's Allotment. Well, you see, I was Jane's Allotment for a long,
Oh,
long time, and I just liked it. And it was just someone else got hold of me a while ago and said,
yeah.
"Do something with that." No, no, I thought,
Well, I've
you
thought
know,
about changing it, but I wouldn't know what to change it to. That's the problem. I wouldn't
I
know
know.
what to make it.
Oh, maybe we should make that into a competition.
Oh, could be, yeah. Somebody can come up with a name for me. That's a good idea. The hive
I
mind
don't.
can come up with
Yeah,
a new
yeah.
name. It can.
But it is funny, isn't it? Once you get a name, that's sort of you stick with that.
Sticks,
You
doesn't
know,
it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's lovely. Okay, well, that's very straightforward. So what I'm going to ask you now is, can you tell us a little bit more? The answer's in the name. It's Mark's
hmm
allotment plot. You are telling us that you garden at your allotment itself. Whereabouts is that?
It is in, well, I'm just outside of a small town in Scotland called Linlithgow, which is in West Lothian. So it's around about halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay. So you'll notice quite a lot of changes there from, I don't know, from where were you living beforehand? You were in the northeast, weren't you?
Yeah, so I lived in a town called Cramlington, which I'm
Mm.
trying to. Normally, it just gets called Cramlington, and everyone say where. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to enunciate so everyone
Yes.
can understand, and that is in the very southeast corner of Northumberland. So just
Okay.
before you sort of move into Tyne Weir, and I moved north about, I think about 16 years ago now, since I
Right.
made the next month actually. Would it be next month? About 16 years ago actually, and I made the permanent move up north. And I
So do you
did.
feel Scottish?
I wouldn't say I feel Scottish, but I feel accepted. I think,
Do you?
you often see a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're England. Oh, we're in Scotland. Oh, it's England," and
Yeah.
it's just not like, you know what it is. Everybody is so lovely up here. It's really, really nice. Yeah,
That's
we you
nice.
know we have a bit of banter about the
Yeah.
football or the rugby or whatever. We have a good laugh, but
Yeah.
there's no malice. There's no nastiness. Nobody's mean. It
No.
is
No.
such a fabulous place to live.
That's good. They should have you on the tourist board. That sounds
Do
really
get a
positive.
wee job, couldn't I? A
You
little
haven't even
video.
mentioned midges. Just
Oh, don't get started with them. No,
no, no, no. Let's
no, no, no,
let's not
no,
bring it down again.
no.
Okay, Mark. So, okay, you moved up there some time ago now. So,
Yeah.
what I want to know, we know you're at an allotment, we know you're up
Uh-huh.
in Scotland, but what
Yeah.
is your main reason for growing?
Now you see when I saw the questions and I saw this one. Now people often ask me like, why do you have an allotment? When did you get an allotment? So I've only had my allotment for about, is it 3 years ago now? So I got it just before lockdown, which was so
Oh,
incredibly lucky.
lucky.
It's
Mm,
one of the best decisions I have ever made in my
yeah.
life, and it's.
Mm.
I remember because I've never been massively green fingered before then. So I've always had gardens and done bits and pieces, but never really gone in to grow my own food, my own produce, that sort of stuff. And I was watching something on the telly, and I couldn't even tell you what program it was. I couldn't remember what it was, and I remember they were talking about food miles, and it
Oh,
was like a little light bulb went off in my head, and I went, I should get an allotment. I should just get one.
yeah,
And I started researching around sort of the local area where the allotments were. So we have the local authority ones, so the council run
yeah.
ones, and they are as rare as hen's teeth.
Oh,
You
yeah, yeah.
cannot get one for love nor money. But I'm on a slightly different site to some people, maybe. So I'm on a private allotment site.
Yeah.
So there's a local garden centre, Rookin Glen, it's called, and at the back of there is an allotment site, and there is just over 200 plots
Wow.
out there. It's a pretty significant site. But
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that program, came along, got an allotment, didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was miles out of my depth, absolutely clueless. But I had an idea, I had a notion. Food miles, when you think about the environment, you think about the
Oh,
impact that and it has on it. And you see some of the stuff like something's grown, 5,000 miles away,
yeah.
and it goes another 2,000 miles somewhere else to be packaged,
Mm,
and then it's shipped somewhere else, and then it's shipped somewhere else and shipped somewhere. And the miles on, like, say, like one cucumber or something is ridiculous.
crazy.
When
It's
four
crazy.
miles down the road, I can grow it and bring it
Yeah.
home. You know,
And all that as well, though, Mark, and it's still fresh.
it
And you
is,
think,
and it tastes better.
how's that? How's that
Yeah.
fresh after all that? Because I'm not fresh after traveling, 10 miles up the road,
Well, exactly. And I think
it beggars
as
belief.
as sort of, I don't want to get all political, but as a society,
Mm,
we've almost forgotten how to eat with the seasons, because you go to
yes.
Tesco's
Mm,
down the road, and in the middle of January, like we are now, I can
yeah.
get an avocado or I can get whatever I want. And
Yeah.
you look over Christmas, and like Aldi, we're selling all the fruit and veg for like 15p.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, crikey, this is
Yeah.
crazy, the
Yeah.
way it's going.
Yeah.
But we are where we are. I'm doing my little bit for it.
And if
Yeah.
there's anything to bring you back down to reality, it's a bit of gardening, isn't it?
Oh,
Talk about being
absolutely.
grounded, quite literally. It
Yeah.
really is. It really is. That's interesting. That's interesting. So you've had your allotment for 3 years. What made you start your channel?
Oh, that's another good question. So during lockdown, a local guy in our town who I'm now friends with, a guy called Ian Withers. Ian is such a nice guy. Talk about somebody who is truly selfless in what he does.
Oh,
He is so nice and helps loads and loads and loads of other people.
yeah.
And he started a little sort of organization, should we call it, called Linlithgow Farmily. Um, and
Family,
that Farmily, yeah. So instead
not
of family, we
family.
had Farmily. No, and it
Right.
was and it was all aimed at helping local people grow their own food during lockdown,
Okay.
people's mental health, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And he did so much for it, like getting people composting seeds and teaching people how to do stuff. And it kind of grew, and he had to recruit other people into it. And he asked me to come along and help out. And there was a few other, not just me. There was other people involved in it as well.
Mm,
And one of the things we wanted to show people was different ways of growing things, different spaces, different ideas.
yeah.
And he said, "Oh, could you do a video of your allotment? Just do a tour sort
Mm,
of it, and show everybody what you've got and what you're doing." And I was like, "Oh yeah, could yeah." So everyone does to start with. You get your mobile
mm,
phone out. I just do it with my phone, and I'm going around, and it's honestly, it's awful. This video is it's horrible. When I look at my videos now and I look
yeah.
back then, and I'm just like, oh crikey, was
Yeah.
that really me doing that? Hello,
We're all the
welcome
same.
to my allotment. And just sort of showing it
Yeah.
around. And I was like, where am I going to host it? What am I going to do? I'm going to get this huge video file to,
Yeah.
to, to, to Ian. So we had a Facebook group that everything goes on. So I thought, I'm just going to chuck it on YouTube. So
Yeah.
just created, and I had to come up with a name, and that's where Mark's Allotment Plot came from, because I had
Yeah.
no idea
Yeah.
what to call it.
Yeah.
So chucked it on, uploaded it, put it on. Oh, could you do another one about this? Could you do another one just showing us that?
Mm.
And it just sort of snowballed from
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and it's just got it, and it's turned into a thing in its own right. So he only ever started off doing videos for this like local community group to show people how to do
Yeah.
different things. And now it's a thing in its own right. And I absolutely love it. I love doing it. I love the technology. I love the cameras. I love the sound. I love the lighting. I love the video editing and all that side of it. And
Yeah.
it's great fun.
And it's the interaction, isn't it? Once you get that first bit of interaction back
Oh, I
and you
know.
realize that someone else has actually not just watched what you've put out,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
enjoyed it, you think,
Uh-huh.
"Ooh." And
Yeah,
that's what kept me going for, well, still does, keeps me
yeah.
going, it's just it. But I find, and I mentioned this on I think I was on a live the other day, and I mentioned the
Hmm.
fact that there were three other, I'm gonna say boys,
Uh-huh.
3 other boys on, and they were all into their technical stuff.
Ah, okay.
And I don't know if it's a gender divide, very, very roughly, because I think the males that I speak to who are into
Yeah.
gardening just love all that technical stuff. They love it.
Ah.
Whereas I can't be bothered if I'm completely honest. I probably could get into it, but
Yeah, I'm a,
yeah.
I'm a bit of a geek at heart, so I kind of work in tech, and
Oh
I
well.
did IT at university, and when I'm not gardening or doing family things, I like a bit of gaming. It's got the PS5s behind you on the
Ah, right.
shelf there and
Okay.
whatnot. So I'm
So
into
that's
all
how your
that.
brain works. That's
Yes, I'm
yeah,
into all
yeah,
that kind of stuff anyway. So if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing something else in that space.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well, you found a perfect marriage, haven't you?
indeed, I've got my
The
niche.
gardening
Yeah.
and the YouTube. Perfect. Perfect. Then, Mark, let's have a think about all those years ago. What's your first garden memory? It might be 3 years ago at the allotment.
Well, it might be, yeah. So I guess I've got two that I can kind of think of. So when I was younger, I don't have like really really specific garden memories, but I remember my mum and dad always had a nice garden. I wouldn't say they were sort of avid gardeners. They weren't, they didn't have an allotment. They didn't have fruit and veg or anything grown in the garden. It was always plants, bushes, shrubs, a lawn, a patio, and all that sort of stuff. But I remember it being a nice space. It was always well looked after. The
Mm,
grass was cut, and the weeds were sort of taken care of.
mm,
And there was always a barbecue, and there was people around, and you'd always have a nice time. Or I'd have my
yeah.
my friends would be over, and I remember we built a massive Lego city in the garden. So it was a space for us to be in and play in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't sort of just put to one side as kind of an ornamental sort
No.
of space that
No.
nobody can touch, nobody can go on.
Yeah.
The lawn was there for the swing ball or to play football on or
Right.
that sort of stuff. But I remember going to my nana's house as well and helping her in the garden. And she had you know, uh, that lovely sort of front garden. It wasn't massive, but again, it was always well looked after. Rose
Yeah.
bushes were always nicely trimmed and lovely blooms all over them and that. And I guess he sort of, even then, my mum used to grow a lot of stuff in pots. I remember that even now, she still grows stuff in pots.
Bet she grows
And I'm,
pelargoniums.
oh,
Pelargoniums, great.
I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go and have a
Yeah.
look. She only lives down the road. She moved up here as well. My mum and
Oh, did
dad moved
she?
up
She's
here as
found
well.
you.
Yeah, so they're
Oh,
only 5 minutes down the road. So I'll
lovely.
pop
Yeah.
down Saturday. I'll pop down and I'll go and say hello and I'll have a look at the plants. But yeah, in pots. So I've started the allotment, kind of copying that as well. So
Yeah.
for flowers and things like that, I've
Mm.
started getting little pots just all over the place,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's where it's come from.
Yeah. And from what you're saying as well, really positive memories.
Yeah.
Nothing in particular, but just positive.
Yeah, it was always a nice place, a nice
Yeah.
place to be. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
always well looked after, but not so much that you couldn't touch it. You couldn't go out and do anything
No,
with it.
my parents always had very clean soil. The soil was
Yeah,
always there was never no weeds, no
no
weeds.
weeds. No, yeah, but
You had to be
weeds are
able
a
to see the
nightmare now.
soil, and it was always nice and clean.
Yeah, wait till you see my allotment in the height of summer if you want to see weeds.
Times have changed, though, haven't they? Times have changed. Times have changed. But yeah. All right then. So, well, you've sort of answered this one a bit, Mark, as well there. So,
Yes.
your next question:
Mm.
what or who has influenced your gardening style?
Well, I guess there's kind of two sides to it. So in the house that I'm in now, we've got a pretty big garden at the back, and for me the main so it's kind of an L shape. So it's a big,
Right.
long, wide garden, then it
Mm,
goes off to an L at the bottom.
yeah.
So it's in kind of two halves almost. The one main part of it is I've got a wee boy, Robbie's 11.
Hmm.
So that's the space, the family space. So it's got the patio, it's got a hot tub, it's got a barbecue, it's got a big trampoline. We play football out there. It's got a climbing frame. It's got really mature borders all the way around it.
Yeah. Oh,
So it's low maintenance. It doesn't need much doing to it.
mm-hmm.
Round the corner where the greenhouse is that appears in the videos, that's what we call the secret garden. And it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. The bits I don't show on the cameras is a right mess, and
Nature
that's a bit of a
friendly.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
project that's going to come over the summer to make it nice. But then at the allotment, because I was completely clueless at the allotment when I first got it. I said, "Oh, yeah." So I took that notion. I said, "Great, I've got an allotment. What do I do?" Great question. So I went to YouTube, and I've always kind of sort of used YouTube very casually in the
Yeah,
past, but I
yeah,
would say the allotment and gardening is the first rabbit hole on YouTube I've ever
yeah.
really gone down,
Mm,
and just started searching stuff.
mm.
And Tony C. Smith came up, Terry King, Steve Greenside Up,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and all sorts of different people, different channels like that. And
yeah.
I'm fascinated by it. And I watch even now, even though I do my own, I watch so much gardening and allotment sort of YouTube content.
Mm,
And
mm.
pretty much everything on the allotment has come from other people's ideas on YouTube, whether it's the blue pipes, whether it's a polytunnel,
Yeah,
whether it's raised beds or how to do things.
yeah,
That's where I learn from, because
yeah.
different people learn different ways, videos, things like that.
Mm.
Absolutely magic, brilliant. What a great resource, and it's all free,
It's all free, and
isn't it?
there's such a diverse array of things to watch, aren't
Yeah,
there? So it's not like
isn't
even
it?
if you just like in days of old when you might just get a gardening book out,
Yeah,
it would all be along more or less the same sort of theme or the same
yeah,
setting. Whereas now you can dip in and oh, I like that. I like the look
absolutely.
of that. I always call
Yeah.
it magpieing. You know, you're like a magpie. You
Ah,
take a little
a
bit
bit
from
of that. I love
here.
that bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and you build your own nest with what you. Yeah, and it's invaluable. And YouTube, what a rabbit hole that is. You
Oh, isn't it?
know?
Hours, hours and hours and
I know.
hours on there just watching
Wasted,
stuff.
wasted. Don't do it. No, do it. Watch them all.
Watch them and subscribe. Make
And
sure you
subscribe
subscribe,
and like.
especially to Jane's channel.
All right then. So that yeah, that's really interesting. So say that then. Well, it sounds like you've got quite a lot of gardening space, Mark. But what would your ideal gardening space be? Or have you already got it?
Kind of, kind of. I would say I would like to live. So I was, I'm semi-rural where I am now. And I like the sort of semi-rural kind of thing. So a nice big detached house, semi-rural, that would be lovely. But it has to be semi-rural because you still need good broadband connection. You need good broadband,
Yeah.
and you want to get your Amazon Prime deliveries to the
Oh
door.
yes. Next day
And all
delivery.
you need your little sort of creature
Yeah.
comforts.
Yeah.
And space, because I saw when you were talking to Jessie, and she said she would like the space on the doorstep.
Yeah.
And I've thought about that before as well, because of the space I've got out the back there. And I
Yeah.
thought I could just do that. I could give up the allotment and I could just use all that.
Mm.
But then the allotment, I would like it to be a little bit closer. So if I could have somewhere so it's 4 miles away.
Right. Okay.
So I'm generally taking the car. Most of the time I'll take the car
Mm.
because I've got bags of compost or tools or things that I have to take.
Mm.
So if it could be somewhere within walking distance, but
Mm.
not so close that it's on my doorstep,
Yeah.
a nice big Monty Don style greenhouse. He's got that greenhouse with the
Oh
bricks at the
yeah.
bottom and the wooden frame on the top.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
of them. And then Tony O'Neill was on Potty Mouth the other night and he was talking about his polytunnels. It's
Crazy.
36-foot long polytunnel. I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
oh, imagine a 36-foot
Yeah.
polytunnel
Yeah.
like that, but on an allotment site, because people on allotment sites are some of the nicest people you could ever meet. Because I see some of the stories on the allotment groups on Facebook and things like
Yeah.
that, where it's like, oh, I've had stuff stolen, and oh, such and such did this,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't happen. Where
No.
everybody is so lovely. Everyone has a chat on the way past. You talk about different ideas and things that you're doing. Everybody is lovely. So that would be it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about half a mile away.
Yeah.
So it's far enough, but close enough. But with
Well,
all that
probably
stuff,
if you want a polytunnel that big, you could probably
yeah,
just open your back door, walk
yeah,
into your polytunnel, half a mile long, walk to the other
it
end,
could be
you'd have your
there.
allotment at the
That's a good idea. So if it rains, you're fine. You're always under cover.
oh, you'd be fine. Somebody put some thought into that.
What a
They
great
really have.
idea.
Yeah. No, I think that it is that, but I agree about the allotment site because yeah, my idea is always automatically that yeah, you'll just walk
Yeah,
in, it'll all be there. But it's that community again, and that we talk
yeah.
about YouTube community, but we're very lucky on our site. We've got
Uh-huh.
good people, and I feel for people who don't have that
Oh
because
no.
you're always going to get
Yeah.
bad
There's
apples.
always one, isn't there? There's always one.
I know, but yeah, yeah, it's a good place to be. So, right then, quick surprise, close question for you: Chinese or Indian?
Or Indian.
Right, okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much. That was nice and quick. Right then, Mark, is there anything, and I've just got to say to the viewers here, I don't know what Mark's about to say. So, I might be as surprised by this as you, the viewer, are. But, Mark, is there
Mm.
anything about yourself that you would like to share?
Goodness. Well, there was these photographs on the internet, and oh no, sorry, no, that was something else. Just get on it, good.
That is
Um,
broadcastable. I should have done that. Yeah.
in I guess before I moved north, so when I did university, and while I was at university, I was a special constable. So I signed up to the
Oh,
specials. I was a volunteer police officer.
yeah.
I did that for around about 7 years.
Mm,
Absolutely loved it. What a great thing to do. And I guess from that, I've always sort of wh- whatever stage in life I've been at, I always try to do something community minded. So
yeah.
I did that for 7 years. Then I played field hockey to quite a high level. And
Right.
when I got a bit too old and knackered for that, I did some coaching and umpiring, and now I
Yeah.
do allotmenteering. I do.
Yeah. It's like evolution, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
it's
start off doing this, then you go to the coach, and then we all
yeah,
end up at
bit
the
of that, just
allotment. Yeah,
downhill.
yeah. How interesting that you weren't tempted to stay with the police.
I did become a full-time police officer,
Right.
and I
Okay.
only lasted for about 3 years. I would say I left because I was too idealistic. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I like to help people. I like to do good things in the community,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like that. It was very target driven. You had to
Yes.
do certain things and achieve certain milestones, and I was just like, this isn't
No.
what I've signed up for. This isn't me. This is not what I want to do. Took a
It's
different direction in life, and I am where I am now.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it sounds very much like teaching, which
yeah.
is that's why I am not teaching in a
You want to
classroom
help. You want
now.
to do something good, and
Yeah, and
the
you've got
organisation stops you. Yeah,
you just felt like you were battling against
yeah. It's
targets,
frustrating.
etc.,
It
all the
is.
time. Yes, but yeah,
Yeah,
we're happy where we are. We've got lovely fulfilled lives, and I wouldn't have it
absolutely.
any other way. I wouldn't have
Indeed,
it
I
any
would agree with that.
That's interesting. Right. Okay then. So question number, I can't believe we're at question number 10 already.
Goodness,
What I
time
would like to
flies.
say to you, Mark, is we
Mm.
found out an awful lot about you, but you are now well, what's the word? Well honed in allotment gardening. You've got your YouTube
Some would
channel.
disagree.
There are some there are some people out there who will
Uh-huh.
just be thinking, especially this time of year, be thinking about, I'd like to start growing my own. I might even start
Yeah.
a YouTube channel. What advice would you give to someone starting out?
Treat it like eating an elephant. So how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bit at a time. So
Ah, right, okay.
small, break it down into small, manageable chunks. I don't want to sound like I'm at work and get all corporate, but it's absolutely the way to do it. Again, some YouTube videos and things you see, and some Facebook things you see, I got this allotment and had weeds up to my head, and within a week, it's the most
Oh,
beautiful looking
yeah,
thing you've ever seen in your life. It's like,
yeah.
how have you done that? And you
Mm,
must have a team of like 10 people
mm,
helping you all the time. But
mm,
yeah, small chunks. The very first thing I grew, so when I was learning about allotments, was radishes. I'm not
uh,
even a big fan of radishes. I don't like them that much, but they grow so quickly.
mm,
And it's all about the sort of the psychology of it, that you grow something, you achieve something, you've
mm,
done it,
mm.
you think you can do it because you've got success. So
Yeah,
you try something else, and it just grows and grows and grows
yeah,
from there.
yeah.
And you try more and more difficult things. So now every year I try something more difficult. You move on to your tomatoes, your cucumbers, your peppers, and everything that takes a lot
Mm.
of, you
But
know,
it's all the same process, isn't
it's all the same process, but
it?
like
Just
the
moving
chilies. I
it
saw
along.
chilies today,
Oh,
and they'll be mollycoddled, and they'll be put on heated propagators and under grow lights and different
mm,
compost and different feed, and then in the polytunnel and brought on,
mm.
instead of just getting some radish seeds and put them in the ground, and up come some radishes.
Unexpecting it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, but start simple, take it easy, don't put pressure on yourself. Little chunks, then
and
move on.
don't look too much at people who do have
Oh,
a
don't compare
garden.
yourself to other people. No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a That's a
If they have got them, it's taken them a long time to get there, or
oh,
they've got the money or
exactly.
the people to help them with it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's about being
I'm
realistic.
3, 4 years in now, and I would say my allotment's still not finished. I'm
Oh
still always
yeah,
doing things to it.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
it'll never be finished. Never
No,
be
no,
finished. Yeah.
no. And well, I always say this, but maybe it is just me. I always think I'm never going to know everything there
Yeah.
is to know about gardening.
Oh,
And if I
exactly.
did think I knew it, and we
Yeah.
have got one or two allotment neighbours who do think they know it, and I'm sure you've got some as well, then yeah, something would be wrong. It'd make it a bit boring, I think. But
No,
yeah, no,
wouldn't
I
it?
think that's really, really good advice. Right, next bit I'm a little bit worried about.
Oof.
I've got no idea what you're about to ask me, Mark. And my answer might reflect the fact that I really I won't be able to answer it very well because I struggle with these. Because
Uh-huh.
what Mark's going to do now is going to ask me an absolute blind question, and I'm going to try and answer it as well as I possibly can. So, Mark, fire away.
Well, if we've got time, I've got 2 questions. One's a gardening question and one's a bit of
Okay.
fun. One's a bit of fun. So we'll do the serious gardener one first. And what I want to do is switch one of your questions around on you.
Oh,
And that is, what would your ideal gardening space be like?
I know this one. I know this one. Now, I've just said to you, haven't I, um, about having the
Yeah.
allotment as part of the community, but also loving to just be able to step out into the garden. I would like to buy our allotment plot and the 2 plots next to it and build a house on it. And so therefore I would still have the rest of the allotment community around me,
Yeah.
but I would be absolutely in my element. If I where we've got our chickens now, we've
Uh-huh.
got a shed behind them, and if I could take that footprint there and build a house. I've thought it all through. To my many a time, we could build a house here and we'd
Oh,
be
that'd
absolutely
be
fine.
fab,
And
wouldn't
like
it?
you, ours are privately owned. So
Yeah.
we're not quite sure. The
Uh-huh.
future's never certain. You know,
Exactly. Yep.
they
Yep.
could just go, they'd be worth a lot
That's
of
my
money, the
worry.
land.
Yeah.
But if they did ever come up for sale, we wouldn't be able to
Uh-huh.
afford it. But my
Oh,
ideal would be to,
you
yeah,
never know.
live on the allotment.
Never say never.
No, no, I'd be one of these old wizened women, more wizened, you know, lots of chickens, the old cats, So yeah. Oh, I'm worried about question 2 now.
No, it's just a bit of fun, and there's no right or wrong answer to this question.
Oh dear.
Um, so when I say dinosaur, I mean a Tyrannosaurus Rex,
Yes.
right? So would you rather have a dinosaur head and robot arms, or dinosaur arms and a robot head?
Oh my goodness. Oh
Takes
my,
a lot of thought. I know.
it,
There's
you
pros
know
and cons
what?
to both.
You know what though? It's one of our family jokes that a family trait of ours is we're
Uh-huh.
all a bit weak on the upper arms. We've got friends who go canoeing and everything. And we've always said that
Okay.
we're absolutely rubbish. We're
Yeah.
weak on the upper arms, so we call ourselves little T
Or the
Rexes.
T-Rex.
So I think on that basis, I think I'd rather have robot arms
Yeah.
and what was the head?
A
Dinosaur
dinosaur head,
head.
so a big T-Rex head.
Yeah, but I'd have
There
good
you go.
arms,
Win-win.
brilliant arms. So that's really good. Right, okay, Mark, we're gonna have to leave it there because time is coming up.
No worries.
Thank you so much for coming on. I am going to
Thank
put
you too.
all your details down below, and also I'll be
Yes.
adding you to the playlist. So if
Fab.
people haven't been along to look at the playlist, I shall put the details below. But for now, I'm going to have to say thank you again. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've had fun, and
I
I'll see you
have.
again soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you. Bye-bye.